This is for any of the guys that are like, hey, I'm not really quite sure on why there's different rods, not sure on how to get the lugs off of it, what I'm supposed to do. Hopefully that gives you kind of the insight on what needs to be done. This isn't a technical touch video from them or anything. This is me buying the kit for the first time and trying to figure out how to install it. Hey everybody, so today we're going to do a KYB conversion into a WP fork. We picked up the box from Technical Touch, actually drove down there and picked it up on my way through, and this is my first time doing it, so I figured try to help anybody that's got any questions as we do this. We usually do the WP 6500 kit and they are unavailable for the next couple of months, so we have some good feedback from guys running this stuff, so let's unbox it. Okay, we're gonna have axle brackets, base valves, a bunch of small parts, some springs. They give you your own spring rate. We are going to put Racetech springs in it because our Racetech springs are closed coil. They give you a different rate where KYB has an open coil, so it's kind of more of a progressive feel. So we're going to do a whole gold valve setup in this. Have your rebound adjuster rods, your piston rods for the WP, or sorry, for the KYB cartridge. And you got inner cartridges, and that is it. So let's start unboxing all this stuff. So one of the first things I noticed is it already has an adjuster rod in it. So the new one is a little bit longer. Let's figure out why. Hey, I got a question for you.
I got an answer for you.
All right. I am doing the KYB conversion on a 24 MC450 GasGas. And inside the kit, it comes with long rods and short rods. So, what's the solution to that?
The Husky get the short rods, the KTM GasGas get the long rods.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Husky short rods, long rods for GasGas KTM. Yep. And that is our guy from Applied Technologies up in Colorado. He does all Cody Webb stuff, and he's been at Racetech forever, and in the technical stuff decided to open up his own center in Castle Rock, Colorado. So he always has my answers when I can't figure stuff out. So now we can finish putting this valving in. All right, now we removed our valving off of the rebound post. We're going to put our own race tech valving and stuff in it. It may not be a bad idea. I don't think it's necessarily super important as long as you don't get these things too hot when you're removing it. But like Tyler said, if you're just going into a Husqvarna, you leave the short rods. If you're doing the KTM GasGas, put the longer rods in it. So with that, we got to remove the rebound post from here. It's Loctited on, takes a little bit of heat. Don't get it too crazy, and make sure if you're doing something, you get the right type of soft jaws to hold it, and you're not one of these guys holding it with channel locks or vice grips. But honestly, this is more of an advanced install anyways, so if you can't get to this point, you shouldn't be doing this anyways. Make sure it's nice and tight so it doesn't slip. I like to use the mini torch. Running the mini torch. I don't want to get this thing too hot. I just want to loosen up that Loctite ever so slightly, just so we're not fighting or spinning this rod and getting it to cause any marks. The Kashima coating is pretty tough, but even though we're not using these rods again, still work in a way that doesn't damage stuff. There we go. I can smell the Loctite. Okay, our rebound post, be our rebound spring, and needle, which is still hot. Let's see if we can push it upside down. Okay, now that we have the rods removed, we're going to go ahead and install the bases back onto the long rods. So, get your rod Loctite. Stripe will do. I like to grease the little O-rings anyways, even though they're going to be in oil, just to make sure that everything flows freely. Spring in there. Get her all the way down, and then tighten her back up. It's a 19mm that goes on the end of the rebound post. Like I said, I like the Nippics. Okay. All right, so now that I got all the boring stuff out of the way with the revalve, cartridges are fully assembled. Now what we're gonna do is take out the lugs. The customer's bike is almost brand new, so he doesn't want to do any seals, so I'm gonna leave him on the tube so I don't hurt him. So, gotta get him clamped into a vise and then warm them up. Doesn't have to get crazy hot, just enough to loosen the Loctite. I use the Race Tech tube extractor. So the holes don't really line up either. There's 3 instead of 4 like there is normally on a Japanese bike. But you can still get one of them in there. And then I back out the other side all the way to just make sure that it has a smooth surface up against the bronze piece. And then by doing that, usually when you loosen them up a little bit, they come right out. A little bit more, you can kind of judge it by how much it moves. Don't want to get too hot, but just enough. Work it kind of back and forth so that way it frees up that Loctite and we're not stripping threads. Okay. Let this one cool down for a minute while we do the next one. And now this lug is hot, so I'll let it set over there. You can see how much Loctite is actually on this thing. Really don't want them to move. They don't have the set screws like the WP stuff does. So I'm gonna get those cleaned off on the wire wheel, and then I will be back to install the lugs. Now that those are done, let's get these lugs on here. So with that O-ring, just put a little bit of grease just to hold her in. Once the fork oil kind of gets there, it'll seal the rest of it too, but just want to make sure this doesn't move and we have an issue right off the bat. And then grease this O-ring. And this is just going to go right into the bottom of the fork tubes, because it is also sealing the inner tube from the lug. Okay. All right. As you can see, we got it all nice and flush in there. Now that they're good, I'm going to grab some more of this green Loctite stuff. Let's start letting it sit. Because you do not want these things spinning, coming out. I'm just going to start hand threading these in. I got the set screw backed out. It's in there, but it's in there a thread, so it's not into where I'm going to start threading this tube into it right now and cause us some problems. Okay. I'm going to take out the lock screw and put some Loctite on this so that way it don't move again. Basically what you're doing is you're crushing the threads on the tube so that way it locks this thing in there and it don't come out. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. If you don't know what you're doing after this point, this is a pretty technical install because it is not a beginner setup. You got to know, one, how to work on KYB forks and the WP forks. So if you've never changed your own fork seals or anything, this is not the kit to start out with. But this is for any of the guys that are like, hey, I'm not really quite sure on why there's different rods, not sure on how to get the lugs off of it, what I'm supposed to do. Hopefully that gives you kind of the insight on what needs to be done. I'm going to go ahead, set my spring preload, oil levels, spend about 30 minutes taking these stickers off, and then we're going to be good to go. So if you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and then we will try to address them as much as possible. This isn't a Technical Touch video from them or anything. This is me buying the kit for the first time and trying to figure out how to install it. So I'm glad I had questions with it, and hopefully we can answer yours if you have anything with it, and we'll see what we get for rider feedback. Until next time.